Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Four.
Tat.
Prayaso.
Endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed, for they result only in a loss of time and energy with no actual profit. If one's endeavors are directed toward Krishna consciousness, one can surely attain a spiritual platform of self-realization. There is no such benefit from engaging oneself in economic development. We see materialistic persons busily engaged in economic development all day and all night, trying to increase their material opulence. But even if we suppose that they get some benefit from such endeavors, that does not solve the real problem of their lives, nor do they know what the real problem of life is. This is due to a lack of spiritual education. Especially in the present age, every man is in darkness, in the bodily conception of life, not knowing anything of the spirit, soul, and its needs. Misguided by the blind leaders of society, people consider the body to be everything, and they are engaged in trying to keep the body materially comfortable. Such a civilization is condemned because it does not lead humanity toward knowing the real goal of life. People are simply wasting time and the valuable gift of the human form, because a human being who does not cultivate spiritual life, but dies like the cats and dogs, is degraded in his next life. From human life, such a person is put into the cycle of continuous birth and death. Thus, one loses the true benefit of human life, which is to become Krishna conscious and solve life's problems. Endeavors merely for sense gratification, or material happiness through economic development, are not to be performed, for they result only in a loss of time and energy, with no actual profit. If one's endeavors are directed toward Krishna consciousness,
One's endeavors are connected towards Krishna consciousness.
One can surely attain the spiritual platform of self-realization.
One can surely attain the spiritual platform of self-realization.
There is no such benefit from engaging oneself in economic development.
There is no such benefit for engaging oneself in economic development.
So what do we do? How do we maintain ourselves? How do we get food? How do we get dwelling? Everybody asks that question. They see devotees. They ask, what happens if everybody does this? Right? Huh? You go out, you preach, you meet businessmen. If everybody does this, then the world stops. No food, no housing, no education. So what do we do? How do we do this? We have a number of responses that we know. Not everybody is going to do this, that's for sure.
Okay.
That's the nature of the samsara. He's being created with a desire of the spirit souls to try to have the opportunity to try to imitate, enjoy, be served, have power like the Supreme Lord. That will go on eternally. Not even in Satya Yuga is everybody 100% purely engaged in the service of the Lord. They're very pious, engaged in lots of tapasya, wonderful spiritual activities, but never do we know of written in the Vedas where the whole yuga, everyone was totally God conscious. That's one point. The other point is, what does Krishna say about acting in our duty, but within Krishna consciousness? So, if you have a nice spiritual program in the morning, which has been developed by Srila Prabhupada so perfectly, and we don't see this anywhere. We see programs, maybe yoga, hatha yoga, breathing, lots of ritualistic activities. To actually have a program where one comes in touch with Krishna so perfectly, so purely, from 3, 4 in the morning, okay? And by doing that, the whole day, whatever work, whatever business you do, you will still be in Krishna consciousness. Because of the Varnashram system, everybody has a place in society. We're not telling anybody to cease their activities. It is not possible for the Jivatma to cease its activities. Prabhupada says we always are going to have some activity, whether it's serving the Lord, whether it's agriculture, industrialization. That's a wonderful contribution to Kali Yuga. Industrialization. It's only recent to 100 to 200 years. Started probably by the British. We call it the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, they revolted against God. That is their revolution. They introduced the most waste of time, as Prabhupada states here. It is a waste of time, a loss of time and energy. A loss of time and energy we cannot get back. As stated in the scriptures, every second, every moment of every activity you perform is just a moment that can never be recovered. So it's a waste and loss of time and energy. We only have so much time within this body to perform activities. That is the nature of the soul. No matter from a young birth, activities are being performed by a child, by a teenager, by an adult. But what are those activities that we must act in? We must act in Krishna consciousness. Now, everybody in the Western world is realizing that working within this environment where they're wasting their time and energy and stressed out and their health is becoming bad is that they want to meditate. They want some stress release. So they're starting to realize that the environment that they're working in is devastating to their psyche, to their consciousness. So people tell them to meditate. Let's meditate. What are we going to meditate on? Meditate on nothing. Meditate on a fruit. There's a group that started in America 40, 50 years ago. Meditate on a lemon. Meditate on an orange. Meditate on anything where you can clear your mind of all the distractions, all the useless impulses that come into the mind, just pouring into the mind, that for many people it's impossible to not act upon. And some impulses that come to the mind are very devastating, very low class, very dark in energy. They create a lot more karma. It becomes a lot more binding. And as Prabhupada said, that in the next life, it can be, a very low birth or a very degraded birth. So the perfect system that nobody can disagree with, especially if your level of production increases, your level of efficiency increases, and you help other people within your business or work environment or agricultural environment to become more efficient by becoming Krishna conscious. Isn't it the goal of every profiteer, every businessman to want to have more efficiency within his organization? He pays each employee so much money, and he wants to get the maximum amount of production from that employee? Now, what if an employer were to find out that by becoming Krishna conscious, not only he's happier, but his business becomes more profitable? Another preaching possibility, that if you not only become Krishna conscious and you make your employees Krishna conscious, your production can increase, your profit can increase, they'll be happier. Within my insurance business, one of the things we would tell the employers is that by offering this product, you will increase the retention of your employees, because employees like to go from one company to another. You'll actually increase retention. You'll increase the efficiency, because they'll be happier, because they know if something happens to them, they're protected by this product. So here's another possibility, isn't it, in society? There's no downside, no negative side to becoming Krishna conscious. So why isn't everyone doing it? If we're speaking like that, right, and we're an example of that, why isn't everyone saying, oh, we should do that? Because people are bound up by their karmas, forcing them to act in a certain way, when they don't realize that there's something beyond this material body. That is the essence of what they put their whole importance in, especially Western society, is in the material body. Let's make it stronger, let's make it healthier, again, more efficiency, be more productive, maybe be more peaceful. Because no matter how much your body is efficient, the mind will still create all these impulses. So the perfect system of Patanjali yoga, Ashtanga yoga, is first to get the body in such a way that it's not disturbing you. Because you have to sit and meditate. So the body is hurting and pulling and straining and legs and back. You can't meditate. So they want to do the hatha. Then you do pranayama, which is controlling really through breath of the prana. People say controlling of the breath, but it's using the controlling of the breath to control the prana. The prana is the life airs. The life airs are one of the central problems within the mind. When the airs are off of the mind is going all over the place. Even everybody, when you're chanting japa, doesn't all of a sudden this thought come in your mind? Maybe from 20 years ago, maybe from 1,000 miles away. Something comes in the mind. Total disturbance. Where is it coming from? Pranayama keeps the mind still. Then what's the next step? It should be Krishna. Perfect opportunity. Imagine 2 hours being able to sit with no discomfort to the body or the mind. Be able to simply chant and hear Krishna's name with no other thought. That is our goal. And if you achieve that, you can go out and do anything in the world. Everybody here that's come to Krishna and the Krishna society in ISKCON has not been billionaires or millionaires. Some are, some aren't. But we're finding that when one becomes fully Krishna conscious, Krishna sends as much as you can handle. And when I say handle, because what does great opulence, economic development, power, money do to a person? Corrupt them. And again, make them want to enjoy it. It's only a person who becomes purified by the process of Krishna consciousness. Krishna will hand them everything. And you know why? Because they're not attached. Like the Bangalore project. I was there from the beginning watching a stone hill that nobody wanted. And it's become a magnanimous temple. And then the whole spreading of more temples and more devotees. So this is the process. Why would somebody not want to do it? Prabhupada says, chant, chant, chant. People say, can't. So what is our aspiration in preaching is how to educate first on how this will help you. How this will make you more efficient. How this will make you more productive. How this will make you happier. Otherwise, why would anybody want to do it? If it's not going to give them something, because the Prabhupada says, the profit motive. Everybody wants to profit. Why does everybody normally go to a temple? If they're not aspiring for Krishna consciousness, why do people go to temples? What do you think? Why do people go to temples in general? To seek something, pretty much, right? They want blessings. Why do they want the blessings? They want to relieve themselves of the pain of the mind, the sickness of the child, poverty, right? How often do you find people who want to come immediately to the temple to purely devote themselves to Krishna and give up everything? How often do you find that? Rarely. But eventually that evolves, and where that happens? By following the process. So that's how Krishna tricks everybody. And that's how the pure devotee delivers Krishna. Because without the pure devotee, there's no possibility of directly approaching Krishna. Krishna is busy. Isn't he? He's the top business person. In the sense of, he's busy. Busyness. What is he doing? Nothing but enjoying. Sat chit ananda. Krishna is only enjoying. So what is he thinking of? As his love is there for all the jivatmas as we have love for a child. Nothing greater than a love for a child. Prabhupada told my mother, because she was a devotee, she still is a devotee, she's 94, that the greatest thing in the material world, the closest thing for love of God, is the love of a parent for the child. So obviously Krishna loves all of us. But if he loves us so much, why does he create this place of suffering? Have you ever had a child that is doing something wrong, but as a strong parent you say, I guess he'll have to learn the hard way? You ever heard that? He'll have to learn the hard way. If you keep giving him love when he's doing something bad, he becomes more bad. But if you let him learn the hard way because you really love him and you want the best for him, then one day he comes back and he goes, oh, Father, he says, I'm happy you didn't just hand me that new car. You didn't just give me the whole business. You made me earn it. Now I really appreciate it. So that's why samsara, the wheel of birth and death, the Mahatattva within this whole place, this material so-called playground where the jivatmas has been created because of the love of Krishna for all of us. Because he's enjoying and he's all love, and all of a sudden the jivatma, which has a choice, that says, you know, all that great power, I'd like to try to enjoy it like the son who takes the father to court to take over his business. And we see in the past, the Taj Mahal, the sons, what they did to the father, isn't it? So that happens, but nobody can become Krishna. One can enjoy with Krishna and have all the opulences of Krishna in a minute form. Because the philosophy being propagated, not only in India but throughout the world, is that you become God. If you do enough of this practice, you'll become God. You become a little God that at any moment can become again amongst. We call that Tatashta Shakti. You have the Shakti of Bhagavan, you have the Shakti of the material world, but then you have the Shakti of the Jivatma that can go to the spiritual world or can come to the material world. So all of a sudden we're in knowledge, we understand everything Prabhupada is telling us, we're following the practice, and again the mind takes us away. The best thing is association. When devotees are together, Prabhupada said a bundle of sticks cannot be broken. One stick can be broken one at a time. When you put it together, you tie it together tight. You try it, it's very hard to break it. So that's why sadhu sangha, association, is so important. But doubts are always going to be there. Do you know after 44 years, every once in a while, a doubt comes about something. It's never come about Prabhupada. That I'm blessed by Prabhupada, I guess. That I never had a doubt about Prabhupada. I never had a doubt about Krishna. I had a doubt about myself, my abilities, if the practice would actually make me achieve the desired result. But I always pray, I always read, and immediately I'm revived. It's like the man in the marathon who's racing. He doesn't doesn't think he can make it to the final finish and win the race. So periodically he may even slow down a little bit, but then he sees other people coming up behind him, like association. He says, oh no, I must hurry up and rush up again and continue. Or somebody hands him some water and refreshes himself, he continues. But they always, no matter how much they may be the last racer, they won't stop. In the race, no man in the race will stop. He will finish that, go to the line, the end line, even if he has to crawl. You might have seen that. You've seen races in the Olympics. There was a man who broke his leg, he crawled to the finish line. That is the principle. That even if you're the last and you lost, you still have to cross the finish for your own pride. In this case, it's your own pledge that you made to Guru. That's why the initiation is there. You made this pledge. You guys will come, we'll go, then you'll go to the temple, and then you'll go to a party, and you go back to the temple. When you take the pledge with the Guru, you're never supposed to give up. You're supposed to cross the finish line. And he makes a guarantee that everybody who crosses the finish line wins. That's an amazing situation. So everybody, doesn't matter, okay, I'm the last one, but I'm still, at least I can finish it. Prabhupada said, still I'll be able to win, I'll be able to be the leadership. So nobody should give up. Then people will say, no, but I'm chanting, and I'm chanting, and I'm chanting, I'm not feeling anything. Well, the thing is, don't gauge how much you're feeling, gauge how much your mind's becoming clearer. Until your mind is perfectly clear, and each person's mind is different than another person's mind, because it's filled with those seeds of pop from previous lives that create the karmas and the actions of what we become and what we do. My mind, even though I, from a young age, was very involved in spiritual life, mainly in the Eastern type, even though I come from a Western religion, every day I wake up, I have to, like Bhaktisiddhanta said, beat your mind with a shoe. Make you control your mind. Which is an interesting point, because who are you? Everybody thinks that if they're their body, then they're their mind, they're their body. There's no separation. That's my total being. It's my mind, my intelligence, and my body. But when we're saying beat your mind, your mind is your possession. You're the controller of your mind. You possess it. Like your dog, right? Who's in charge? You or your dog? When you let your dog in charge, what happens? You get bit. Or you bite someone else. You're pulling all the time. You ever have a dog that doesn't listen to you? You're constantly working on disciplining him and pulling him and hitting him, maybe. Hitting him. People with a bullock, with a horse. Somebody's hit it. You have to hit our mind. But I tell you this, being the person with the worst mind here, if I follow that program in the morning, and I've been getting up the last month in Bangalore, sometimes 1:30, 2, I get sleep very early. What's the use? What's night for? Night is a waste of time, other than sleeping, or if you're a pure devotee, writing the books, like Shravananda. But if you can get sleep early and get up at 2 and chant all your rounds before one arti and follow the program, I guarantee 100% promise, mind is your friend the whole day. It's under your control. And when your mind's under your control, you cannot imagine how happy and peaceful and loving and efficient you are throughout the day. And I just, as I'm coming from many, many years living in the West, being married for 35 years, through my whole dharma, and it's only by Prabhupada's mercy that I can even come back like this, being so much enmeshed in material activities. So if I can come back to be in association with devotees and have my crazy, uncontrolled mind controlled, it's a testament, like in science, like an experiment, you can see the results, that it's clear, it's focused, it's one point of view. I want to eat this, I want to go here, I want to do that, I want to buy this. I want to get this job, I want to get that job, I want to buy this house, I want to get this. Here, you have the opportunity to be born in India, it's a special birth. I don't say that to flatter. I don't know any avatars that came to any state in America. Nor Europe, nor South America, nor Africa. Wouldn't we have heard about it? Some Vishnu avatar in Nairobi. Different countries, different places on the planet, for the souls to take birth, so they're under different planets. There is some astrology. We don't, like meteorology, you know? It's going to rain. It doesn't rain. It's not going to rain. It does rain. So we don't go by planets. One ring on every finger, another ring on this finger, more rings here, another planet, stone here. Before I left, I sold an emerald, a ruby, a romance for Rahu. None of them worked. Nothing could control my mind. Not through Rahu, not through Saturn. Worse Saturn, beating me every day of the hour. Had a big blue Saturn, nothing, no change. Started getting up early, chanting Krishna, clarity. No planet could touch us. One devotee in Vrindavan. He had so many of these, they're called gomads. It's a brown cinnamon stone, sometimes it's another color for Rahu. You know, cat's eye, K2, blue sapphire for Saturn. Believe me, I studied it, I've been to the best astrologers, Brigu astrologers. Nothing worked. I said, I don't want to know what is going to happen in the future because you can't validate that. Tell me what happened in the past. If you go to an astrologer and all he tells you is things that can happen in the future, I'm going to be your astrologer. I'll tell you right now what's going to happen in the future. I'll be more accurate than any astrologer. You know what I'll tell you? You're all going to die. Oh, I don't believe it. But how about someone who can tell you what happened in the past? Like a palmist who wrote a poem, he said, May 1971, your whole life has changed. He was right. Something happened. So that's okay. But I didn't care about the future. His Prabhupada said, anybody who goes to an astrologer is a fool or a rascal. It's all cheaters, just like every other guru. There's some, they're pure devotees. There's some that are elevated. There's some that are out Mayavadi and cheated. That's like 95%. Priests, clergy, false, cheater. It's a very good business. You know, if you're impure. So he told the devotee who had all these stones. I said, what is that? He said, oh, Prabhupada, it's for Rahu. He said, oh, Krishna can kick away 100 Rahus. So just chant Hare Krishna. But it's not a casual thing, you know? Like a military person, like a sports person who's racing. How long does that race last? Do you know? Any of those races, they're all like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour. Do you know how long he trains for that 1 hour? Years. Every day for years. He trains. Every year. They do all kinds of things. You know those races, they go to the high mountains so the lungs will expand, so they have more oxygen, so they can keep up and race more. They all do that for that one race for 5 or 10 minutes to try to win. So our whole life, we practice like a sports figure. Exercise, meaning the mind, meaning chanting Hare Krishna, getting up early. I wasn't a person like getting up early. But I realized since the stones weren't working, nothing else was working, I had to chant and get up early. And then I chanted, even though the whole time I'm chanting, the thoughts coming, bombarding the demons of thoughts. And eventually they stopped. Work for that our whole lives, maybe. Or if in our latter life we take to Krishna consciousness, then we never give it up and we do it seriously. It doesn't matter our age, young or old. We never give up the race. Because this race not like, well, I'll never win. Out of 50 men racing, only one will win. I don't want to be second place. Here you just have to cross the finish line. So he crossed it in 10 minutes, if he crossed it in 10 days, it doesn't matter, you still win. But keep doing it day after day after day. Prabhupada is given the most perfect science, and he hasn't cheated. When the devotee said earlier, I read the whole Bhagavad Gita overnight, that's not any great achievement, because Arjuna spoke it, we said 45 minutes. Right? So I'm one of those people that took longer in the race, but I did finish it. But it wasn't the first Bhagavad Gita I had read. But at least the third or the fourth. And every one that I read, I probably didn't finish. Because there was no race to be won. Because it was so incomplete. It was so against the words of Krishna. Who could be more poetic? Who could give a better opinion? Well, my opinion is, who gives you your opinion? It's Krishna's opinion we care about. That's why the only Bhagavad Gita you'll ever find that says, as it is, right, is Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And it's not because he's being arrogant or puffed up or egotistical. It's because our disciplic succession mandates that you simply repeat from the previous acharyas. Going back to Lord Krishna, then Lord Brahma, Brahma Samhita, you must read that. It's a very small book. It's the most important book in our Sampradaya because he's the first created living being. He's the first person after Krishna, Lord Brahma, who's a jivatma like us, but a very powerful one. If you do very well, you don't go to Golden Vrindavan, Krishna may say, I'd like you to be Brahma. It's okay for this yuga, for this millennium, for this time period. Just be Brahma for this period of time. And because he's a pure devotee, very surrendered soul, he says, okay, Govinda Adi Purush, Tamaham Japa. He worships Krishna. He knows who Krishna is, Adi Purush, the original person. And from Krishna, everything becomes, all avatars come. Through Mahavishnu. The third Purusha avatar is Mahavishnu. Meaning, there's three Purusha avatars. You have Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirdaksha Vishnu. Which Shirdaksha Vishnu spans into the hearts of all living entities. And I think also between every atom. So, Prabhupada tells the science perfectly. So a perfect scientist is always known because his experiments are perfect and the desired result is achieved. A scientist who's not perfect keeps trying again and again. I need a cure for cancer. Right? So if 100 men, 1,000 men are experimenting to try to achieve a cure for cancer, and one man has achieved it, he's considered a perfect scientist. And he's perfect because he's followed everything to get to this conclusion. So Prabhupada is perfect. He is giving the science perfectly, and if we follow it perfectly, then we can achieve what Prabhupada has promised us. If you say, oh, I'm not achieving anything, because you're not doing this, you're doing something wrong. So, reading this Gita after other Gitas, I had one comment when I finished it. This, he knows God. No other Gita gave me that indicator. No other Gita. And that was a Bible. Okay? So I didn't say Krishna is the God. And that was a Bible. But I knew Prabhupada had now explained to me everything perfectly. And why is Prabhupada able to say as it is and explain so perfectly? Is he speculating? Is he a great Sanskrit scholar? Because he knows Krishna. I said he knows God, he knows Krishna. So if you go to a good travel agent, he's been to that place 1,000 times, it'll be a very nice tour. It'll be very easy because he's been there 1,000 times. He knows the place very nicely. How about if I ask somebody, have you been to Spain? He's never been to Spain, right? Now tell me about Spain. What is the first thing he's going to do? He's going to give his opinion. He's going to give his speculation. He's going to give some things he's heard from a secular herd other person. It's not a complete explanation of Spain. He's never been there. And you can hear when he talks that he's never been there. But if a man tries to give you directions on the street, I need to go to NTR. Right? It's 3 miles away. Well, I think, I've never been there, but I've heard. You go down this street, no, I don't think it's, you already can tell he doesn't know. Right? Go to another man, you're driving your car. This is before GPS, navigation, you have no map, you don't have Google Maps, just you ask people. Right? You go to another man, he says, oh, NTR, yes, I know it's over there. I'm not quite sure where it is, but I'm pretty sure. So you're feeling a little bit better indication. Okay, I'm not sure I want to drive in circles. So, okay, thank you very much. You know you're getting close. You know there's an MTR nearby. And you go to another man. He says, I go there all the time. You go straight ahead, exactly 1 mile. You make a left, 100 feet, and it's on your left side. Don't you want to follow that man's instructions? Right? But if you follow the first man's instructions, you're unintelligent, you're foolish, and you'll just get lost. And you'll ask another man who doesn't know, and you go in circles. And that is the nature of spiritual life and history for people who don't know. They put you in circles, they take your money, you waste your life. So I keep going to the next person until I find them. So I had another guru before Prabhupada, who I could see, he didn't know God, he was engaging in weird activities. He was from Tamil Nadu, in Sri Lanka. He was a disciple of Shravananda of Rishikesh, who I liked very much, who I felt had a better handle about the science of God, but I rejected that guru. Don't feel bad about rejecting the guru. People in India say, oh no, I can't reject, he's my guru. But he's sending you to an MTR that doesn't exist. He sends you to TRM, MTR, not MRT. It doesn't ever send you to MTR. He's giving you this, giving you that, giving you some good feeling, touching your head, giving you some light, holding up his hand, you feel some power. Then he gives you some vibhuti. Oh, he's got it. If you know, and everybody's told you there's an MTR there, you're going to do your due diligence as much as you have to find it. So if you believe in God, everybody's not able to tell you where God is. You search and you search and you search, and you know if you're really sincere, Krishna will pick you up and bring you to the lotus feet of Brahma. If you're sincere, he'll bring you. That's what Paramatma will do. He won't sit down and give you the Bhagavad Gita like this, so well translated, because he's too busy enjoying. But he will give you the pure devotee, because he loves to have his pure devotee glorified. Because the pure devotee is a direct extension of God himself. So you can worship the pure devotee as God himself. We're not saying he's God. We've already established quantitatively, what is the percentage of the jiva? 56%. As opposed to 100%, which is Bhagavan. So they even say that in the scriptures. They use a percentage. They say the size of the soul. 1/10,000 the size of the tip of a hair. Where else are you going to get that? You go to that fellow, he doesn't know how big is the soul. The soul is as big as you want it to be. So this is a science. Follow the science, follow Srila Prabhupada, and I'm telling you, you will feel so much happiness. And if you're not getting immediate results, why do you think that is? Who has an answer? You can give a speculation based on scripture, based on the glories of God and the glories of the pure devotee. If you're not feeling immediately, oh, why am I getting bhava? Why am I getting praying? Why am I getting samadhi so quickly? Huh? When these men are in the race, you know how many thousands of men tried out just to be those men? You had to try out. What's trying out mean? We use that expression. We're going to try out for a job, we're going to try out for determination. Those who really, really show a great amount of determination and sincerity are chosen to be in that race. So you're determination, your sincerity is being constantly checked. And the more determined you are, the more sincerity you show, the more blessings Krishna and Guru will give you. If you do come, but your heart's not really in it, I'll come because it's a good discipline, it's good for my health, right? So you won't feel that. It's more determined, more determined, more determined. You see all the great sages pleading, praying so hard for the grace of Krishna. The Goswamis spent their whole life living in one piece of cloth, no possessions, pleading, praying, songs, writing for the grace of Krishna. And they didn't even care if they got the grace of Krishna. They wanted to share the grace of Krishna. And by sharing the grace of Krishna, the mercy of Krishna, Prabhu, you receive it. Because that is our sampradaya. The more you give, the more you'll feel. Not about giving just in social work, philanthropic, altruistic work, but giving Krishna. So the thing that made me really move in the temple, because I was a stubborn-hearted fellow, like Prabhupada says, and Gurdwara said, all hard-headed fellows from the West, was I was doing some work at a mental hospital, just as a social work thing. I told the fellow this. He said, you're going there to help mentally ill people. Why don't you move into the temple and you can really help mentally ill people, because the whole world is mentally ill. Because everybody's thinking there's something that they're not. The symptom of mental illness is Gandhi and Napoleon and President Obama. You see in mental hospitals, people misidentify with their personality. Right? It's a personality disorder. So, if somebody says, who are you? And you say, I'm Dan, I'm Fred. That's mentally ill. Jiva Swarupa, Krishna Nityadas. That's who you are. Dasamudas, servant of Krishna. Now you are finally mentally stable. So when he said that to me, I said, you're right. I moved into the temple. He's trying to help all of us who are mentally ill. Now that ones who are really intelligent and in reality and mentally stable are the ones who know they're eternal servants of Krishna. Everyone else is crazy. They're trying to identify with their body. In America, if you hit a man's car, it's as though you hit the man. If you come too close to his car and cut him off, he may come and try to shoot you, because he thinks he is his car. One day I was parked, and a man opened his door into my car. It was a new car. My wife said to the man, I think you dented my husband's car. He said, oh, I'm very sorry. I'm going to wait until your husband comes. Now, normally in the past, I've been upset. I have to turn the car in, pay extra money. If there's a dent to the car, release the cars, let's say. I came and saw, I was in a good Krishna conscious mood. He said, I'm very sorry, what can I do? I said, nothing, no big thing. I said, you're not hurt, I'm not hurt, praise God, because I can tell he was a religious soul. Thank you so much. What's the use? Body, it's temporary. We have to know who we are. Get away from this body, consciousness. Any questions? Any comments? Anything you'd like to say? To share with me so I can also learn any of your own realizations. Class is always to be interactive. I think you were agreeing with a lot, right? How long have you been coming?
15 years.
15 years. You feel better from where you were 16 years ago? What were some of the reasons why you came?
I had very serious problems. I was not able to solve.
There's 4 reasons that people come to Krishna, and that's one of them.
Yes.
It's okay. The point is you come to Krishna. I asked a godbrother one time, I have a family, I have sons, wife, wasn't doing well one time financially. I said, what should I do? He says, pray to Krishna. I said, but I thought we shouldn't pray to Krishna for money or material things. He said, no, you don't pray for Krishna for money, for material things. You created Krishna for money so you can do more service. Because at the time I wanted to do more service. And everything happened for a good reason. The thing is, always turn to Krishna no matter what it is, because Krishna is more intelligent than us. He will always turn it so that the material reason for coming to him will eventually become a pure spiritual reason. So if you had problems before, now you're coming because you want to just serve and you want to love Krishna, right? The problems are gone, right? Pretty much, whatever it is. So Krishna will change that. He turns lead to gold. He turns iron to gold. That's his perfection. And that's Prabhupada's perfection. Because he has all the similar qualities of Krishna. Because he's a pure devotee. So I'm happy to see that the results are there. How about yourself? If you don't mind. 2003. And why would you say, nothing too personal of course, but why would you say you came to the temple?
Just I was passing by to my uncle's house.
Uh-huh.
I saw that program was going on here.
Uh-huh.
The house in Buckingham. The temple was situated there. So I asked somebody there, what is going on? They said some nursing therapy is going on in the park. There was a small park. So I visited that. Then on the day I left for home early. The next Sunday I came there. So I had a discourse on Bhagavatam. So I was very much interested in it. So once, twice, thrice, every Sunday we used to come. Then I gradually started coming every day. And from service was allotted to us. And we were interested in doing the service also. We were very good.
And when you were passing by the temple, you think that was accidental?
It was by accident.
No accident. No accident. Krishna is guiding all of us.
Prabhupada's mercy.
Yes, yes. Paramatma Chaitanya guided you.
Yes.
You didn't know where you were going, what you were doing.
No, I didn't know anything.
Krishna did all that. But Krishna cannot pour water unless there is a glass to receive it. So you were there, some piety, some punya, some good karmas. And mercy. That completed Prabhupada's mercy. He's constantly drawing, like a light draws moths at night to the light. That's what Prabhupada's doing. You know, the Jivatmas are buzzing around all these false lights. You know, this light, that light, this nightclub lights, these resort lights, all attracted to some way of happiness. They don't realize what's going to make them really happy. Because no material affluence has ever made any society in history purely happy. They all fall. America will fall if they don't become Krishna conscious. India will fall if they don't become Krishna conscious. Now people used to ask, why is it that America is so wealthy? India is so religious. We're so religious with God. Why isn't India so wealthy? For that exact reason I just said, because Krishna was protecting India. Krishna began giving India some type of, it's not real opulence, having a nice car, and a nice house, and a nice cell phone, a nice computer. That's not opulence. Opulence is nice agriculture, peaceful life. You know? So it's interesting that when the Western influence started to attack India, back in, I would say, late 60s, 70s, because when I was here in the early 70s, I didn't see so much Western influence. You had one car, Ambassador. Every 10 years we had a new model. Tail light was 2 lights, 10 years later it had 3 lights. Right? Those Suzukis, that was Sanjay Gandhi who started that. What happened to him? And you had nothing else, maybe Fiat's running. And now it's every car is here. And everybody's having fun. All of a sudden, Prabhupada comes right back, late 60s, 70s, and starts beginning to plant the seed of Krishna consciousness. So now as soon as people say, all these material things really don't make me happy. Look at my son. What's happening to him? And Prabhupada's here. So the whole thing of why don't we have material things, people go to the West and say, I'm going to do exactly what Americans do so I can become rich. The most pious people in India, whether it was pure vegetarian, Brahmins, Iers, Iyengars, Gujaratis, vegetarian for generations, go to America eating hamburger. Right? Because Americans are doing so well. If I do it, I'll be successful. I have met so many Indians in America who in 1 year become so degraded in America, who are now some of the best devotees. So it's something about material suffering and becoming a devotee, isn't it? That creates that realization. So it's nice you came. We come through previous lives, we come through intelligence, we come through extreme material suffering, but ultimately we come, as I think you mentioned, by the mercy of Prabhu. Because before Prabhu came, how many Gitas were there? How many Gitas you read? Huh? Many. Did it drastically change your life? Think those Gitas? That's not what Prabhupada said, right? And I'm not being prejudiced, but that's the experiment. That's the experiment. We've went to many scientists, but none of them had finished and completed and discovered the cure of anything. But Prabhupada's Bhagavad has discovered the cure because he's so direct. He doesn't use flowery language. Oh, you're so beautiful, you're such a nice person. God will meditate you. Then you come and you give him one lap because he's blessed you. It's a scam. It's cheap. I was in Bangalore with some devotees, and I said, you know, it's mango season. I haven't been to India for 3 years. And Alfonso mangoes are in season. There's some very most wonderful mangoes in the world are in India. I said, why don't you buy a few mangoes? Bring them back to the town. We had one, I offered it, and I tried it. I said, this is not Alfonso. And they're beautiful boxes, Alfonso mangoes. Right? I know what Alfonso mangoes. It looked like it, it almost smelled like it, but it wasn't. Big boxes of Alfonso mangoes. They weren't real Alfonso mangoes. So you see that cheating going on, right? Now, could I find, if I had the time and I cared more about it, a real Alfonso mango? Yes, I would. So it's the same way in spiritual life. Your determination, your sincerity, you find one little spiritual group and you can go, I'm happy for life. But it's all bogus. You had that Rajneesh in Bombay, right? Oja. In his group, there's no Oja. I don't know if you know what Oja is as a male. But this was a bogus group. Thousands of followers. In America, you have these churches, huge buildings like football stadiums with 40, 50,000 people coming. Oh. And they find out later, this man is with a woman, this man has billions of dollars, 2 airplanes. It's a fantastic business, like I said. It's a psychological manipulation. Now here, nobody's demanding your money. Nobody should demand your money. But if you're a full-time devotee and you want to help expand and share to spread this, you can get it on your own. There, it's a big business. India's a big business. I've met a lot of gurus. They had mystic powers. They used it for material reasons. Prabhupada personally never, ever exhibited those kind of powers, except usually within a close devotees because he wanted to help them. He wanted to help them because they were sick, or they were thirsty, and they wanted to share one coconut between 20 devotees, and the coconut water never stopped. But he never put on a show. He never wanted to ever show anything like that. He showed effulgences, he showed his ecstasy, we could feel it, which made us more Krishna conscious. Those things are cheap things, just cheap things. Prabhupada said that now in this world of science, all the mystic powers have been achieved. Like flying. What's that city called? It's in the nectar of devotion. Prapta city? Then also you can show yourself in another place. Now you have Skype. All the mystic powers have been achieved through technology. Prabhupada said all cheap things. You know? What was Krishna's biggest mystic power in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna? Because this is the mystic his power that he's used by God himself to prove he's God. The universal form,
Sure.
So if anybody ever tells you, any avatar, there's many of you, right? If he says he's God, say, Bhagavan, please show me Varatarupa. I don't want Vibhuti, I want Varatarupa. He'll become angry. Because he can't show it. I've been with one of the top Shankaracharya in the 70s. The senior and the junior, back in Tamil Nadu. He had mystic power. He put up his hand. It was an invisible wall. We hid it. We looked at each other and said, oh, there's mystic power. We went and sat with him for 2 hours. He said what Prabhu was doing was wonderful. He wished Hindu would be all over the world, a revolution. So you're in the right place. I have believed, even though I went from one group to another group to another group, and I found Prabhupada 44 years, never went anywhere else. And many God brothers going to this God brother, and this guru, and this other Gaudiya Vaishnava, and this Ramanuja, thing, and now even Madhva, where ISKCON boys come up with them. Diluted, because the material energy came, and since they weren't really sincere, they said, okay, you went to a pure devotee, you weren't happy, let me give you a little something else, and learn the hard way. This is what we have to do, learn the hard way. 2 ways of learning in the material world. Do you know what they are? Does anybody know what they are? 2 ways of learning. Even the way you take knowledge. What is the first one?
Accept authority.
And the English? Ascending, descending. Prabhupada says one is by hearing, right? The other is by learning the hard way, by experiencing, right? I tell you the monsoon is coming, it's going to be a hurricane, tsunami is coming. Oh, I must get to high ground, or I must get some closed structure. The other person says, tsunami's not coming. He goes out, he dies. He's learning the hard way, the other man learned by hearing. So that is how we learn in the Sampradaya, is by hearing. Hearing is the most powerful sense. Prabhupada said, if a thief comes into your house, you can't taste him, you can't touch him, and a good thief definitely should not have body odor. Otherwise you might smell him. So you won't touch him, you won't taste him, you won't smell him.
And then you don't see him also.
But you will hear him. It's very powerful. And by Prabhupada's mercy, I had to say the name Shravananda. I wanted the name Mahavishnu. Because the paintings in ISKCON of Mahavishnu are just amazing. If you see any of our paintings, it's amazing how perfectly described Mahavishnu. So we're in the right place, associate, come early, go to sleep early, whatever it takes to come early. Perfect time at Brahma work hours before dawn. And the mind will be clean, peaceful, happy, all good things will happen. And I say good things. But somebody says, why was chanting Hare Krishna nice to me? Because the family member died. Chanting Hare, all my money was taken. Now you're really starting to get the mercy of yourself. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for all your children to leave you? Are you ready for your wife to leave you? Maybe Krishna see you're so advanced, so spiritual, it's time for you to now help spread this throughout the world with no other distraction. Prabhupada writes about that in his own family experience. Because people think, oh, all good things will happen. What does that mean, all good things will happen? How do we interpret that? I've experienced it in my own life. And I just read today, I asked the devotees in Bangalore to send me the 10 verses of Bhagavatam Thakur. Do you remember the other night they were singing the verses? It was on the screen. I said, oh my God, look at that verse. I told Jai Chaitanya to take a picture of it, but he took a picture only in Sanskrit. But they sent it to me from Bangalore. Read those verses. It's the highest level. Not 1 second does Bhagavatam Thakur want anything in his mind but the name of Govinda. So in this, we're going to end up with the greatest test one day, aren't we? The greatest test of our sincerity is what? To leave this body. And when you leave your body, how much I have in my bank account, tell this brochure, I'll pay the bill, I'll have my wife pay the bill, my child, make sure he goes to college. You think of all these things, how can you think of Christian? So my uncle, he's 96 years old. 3 wars. He was kind of like a father to people. Didn't want to talk about God. Ate everything. He was a good uncle. Somehow or another, this is how Paralama works, probably for my own benefit, and also his benefit, I flew to Florida. My cousin was getting very upset that her father was dying. I went in the room, and she says, I can't be here. It's too emotional for me. Everybody left the room. It was just he and I. They'd given him some medication to sedate him. He couldn't really open his eyes. Arms were going like this. Have you ever been with someone who passes from their body? Very powerful experience. The thing that got me in spiritual life is seeing a dead body. Now, in this time of my life, I have to be in the presence of somebody leaving their body. We hear about it, we read about it, but I hadn't really personally experienced it. I was chanting. I had been chanting. I was chanting my rounds. I was feeling very focused. I took out my telephone and I put Prabhu chanting by his ear. I always liked to wear some large tulsi. And I put it in his hand. I held his hand with the tulsi closed. And all of a sudden, all this moving in the arms stopped. He put out his arm like this. Put it on my heart. And then he opened his mouth and he left. Listening to Prabhupada, Tulsi was a person who had little to no faith. He benefited. My realizations were so high. Here's another soul, a family member who left. Father left. Uncle left. Another uncle left. Cousins left. I will leave. So at that time, there were no other focus. In that room, there was no focus other than Krishna in my mind. And I forced it on his mind. Grace and Prabhupada. You can imagine if your whole life you're trying to be a devotee, how much mercy you'll get. He'll clear everything for you. So you can only think of Krishna. Put you in a situation when it's your time to leave this world. We all have a good time in Krishna houses and temples. We all have to leave too. Isn't it? And it's not fixed. It can be for a young man in 1 second. It can be an older man in 30 years. We don't know. So we always are in that situation. We know we're not this body. It doesn't matter to us. I was driving from Vrindavan to Delhi a few weeks ago, and my driver almost had a major collision on the Jamuna Expressway. And I was dozing. And all of a sudden, he screeches on his brakes, and I go, Hare Krishna! Which we were trained from a young age. I joined at 19. I'm 63. Always trained like that. We would go out distributing books, and we were sleeping 4 hours, and young fellows were like, they're driving. All of a sudden, you feel the whole van. Everybody wakes up. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Driver wakes up, puts on the brakes, and go, Hare. We're still here. So that's the training. Like a military man trains for years and years and years to go into battle. And then he's still not ready until he's in battle. And when he's in battle, he's very focused. It's a kshatriya. That's what his duty is. That's what his meditation is. He has to fight. So, Krishna will bless everyone. Everyone here is blessed. Everyone's blessed by Srila Prabhupada. Follow this program whatever it takes. If it takes going to sleep at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. Never eat too late either. The glucose, the sugar will make you sleep very nicely for a long time. All that rice in it. So you want to get up early, don't eat late, get up early, and boy, the rest of the day is just perfect. Just feeling Krishna and thinking of Krishna, and everything you do will be perfect. So all that economy or work you do, then at one point you get blessed and you won't even want to do that work anymore, and again, nothing's going to stop. You can see today, Mysore is not going to stop what it's doing. We have how many people? That's because they're special people. Now, how many astronauts have gone in outer space? 10? 15? I was personal friends with the astronaut who has logged the most hours in outer space. His name is Michael Finn. My wife is from Assam. His wife is from Assam. They both worked at NASA. So he gave a whole lecture. He was telling all the people, oh my God, it's an astronaut. Outer space. I like outer space. Dark, you know. Was I could see Krishna. So I went up, made some jokes, and he laughed. I said, hey Mike, I have a Bhagavad Gita for you. He said, oh my God, I've been looking for a Bhagavad Gita. This is the top astronaut, right? And I said, why? He said, well, my wife is Hindu, I'm Christian, we're letting our children see both, which probably love Christ. Christ is probably the one person on the planet that was a pure devotee that we could, you know, I don't know what Christianity may have done, that's something else. But Christ did probably quoted about Christ a lot. He was a wonderful, wonderful, special soul personality. He was so happy to get the Bhagavad Gita. You know what Prabhupada said about just giving somebody a book and them touching it? How much benefit they get. Not to speak of someone who gets Bhagavad Gita and say, oh my God, thank you, I'm so happy. And not to speak of somebody who reads it. Not to speak of somebody whose whole life has changed. So always keep a few books with you. That can be your donation. And give out books. As Prabhupada said, if we don't give out the books, I will tear, his Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, and Prabhupada felt the same way. I'll tear the whole temple down, sell all the marble and burn books. So everybody's duty, wherever you go to work, I was doing training and some computer stuff, so many South Indians were there. We gave them 10 Bhagavad Gitas. What did they cost me? 10, 15, $20. No? Oh my God, such a nice Gita, thank you. Now, see if they read it, that's nice too, that's your next step, guide them. Keep some books, always have some books to give out to people. I need some books. I'm going on a train tonight to Bangalore. I'm sure I'll give some to some people. You're sitting right next to me. So that's really the best service you can do. Any more questions? Comments? Hare Krishna. Krishna Prabhupada. Krishna Prabhupada.